This message is just for you. You are good enough. This is the episode for you. If you are feeling behind or like you just aren't where you're supposed to be in your language learning or in your pursuit of your really big goal, I made this video just for you. Now, I have a confession, and any of you who know my story will not be especially surprised to hear it. And that is that I almost always feel lost. I almost always feel behind. And it is an exhausting place to be. And so one of my topics for themed journaling this week has been, how do I reconcile where I am versus where I think I should be? You know, how do you sit with the thoughts that say, I shouldn't be doing this still. I shouldn't have to be doing this still. I should be further along by now. I should have more clarity by now. I should have fixed this. I should have got that. I should have been here. And so I started out by writing a list of all the should and should not thoughts in the narrative of my life at the moment. And before I started, I imagined that I would fill pages and pages. But guess what? Actually, language learners, I wrote 16. That's it, just 16. It felt like so many more than that in my head because the same thoughts had been going round and round so often in so many different disguises that I don't think I was recognizing that I was actually seeing the same ones over and over again. And then seeing them all just written down in a list like that, something else jumped out at me that I really wanted to share with you today. Every single one of the 16 things I wrote looked so temporary. And then I noticed something else. Every single one of them, not one exception, was something that I actively work towards every single day. Okay, some of the things haven't fallen into place just yet, but they are all things that I'm working on. And that right there, I think, is how to shut down those thoughts. So today I wanted to invite you to join me in a journaling exercise that I think, if you're in the same position, will really help you out. Take a piece of paper, maybe a big one, and write a list of all the should and shouldn't thoughts that you can think of. It might be for one particular aspect of your language learning, like speaking confidence or grammatical accuracy, things like, I shouldn't still be struggling with the present tense conjugation of these really common verbs, or I shouldn't still be struggling to understand X, Y, and Z level text. Or it might be in your whole language learning experience. You could even cast your net wider and make it about your whole life. But just if it's constantly coming up as a should or a shouldn't still be, it goes on the list. And then look carefully at what you've written. Which ones are things that you're actively working on right now? I bet there will definitely be some. So next to every one that this applies to, write in big theatrical letters, I'm working on it. So you write down, I shouldn't still be making these specific mistakes. Next to it, in big, swirly, loopy letters, I'm working on it. I should be further ahead than this in X, Y, and Z. I'm working on it. And now, let's look at the things on your list where, if you're being completely honest with yourself, you can't write, I'm working on it. Because if you're not actively working towards this thing, and yet it keeps springing into your mind, making you feel anxious, making you feel guilty, that's where things start to get interesting. Is that voice trying to tell you something? Is it trying to tell you that your priorities are actually not aligned with your goals? And if that's the case, do you need to be looking at what you're working towards every day and just tweak it a bit to include that thing? Or is that voice actually not helping at all? Is it just echoing what other people are doing and trying to make you feel guilty? If you have a really specific language goal, let's say just for example, literary translation in French, and all your time and all your energy is going into that heavy writing focus, heavy 16th century lexicon focus, you're living and breathing maybe the Renaissance, and your brain is sending you all the shoulds in the direction of modern day conversation. Tell it. You're not going to write, I'm working on it. You're going to write, that is not my priority. In big letters, not my priority. Because it's not. And more to the point, you don't want it to be. That is not your goal. That is not what you're doing all this for. So whatever you do for the rest of this week, do not get lost in the shoulds. I know it is so easy to think that you should have started earlier or done more or done things differently. And I know how easy it is to get caught up in imagining this parallel universe in which you just did it all right the first time. But that parallel universe is a complete illusion, and it can be so very powerful in sending you off course. So don't let it. You aren't behind. You aren't on the wrong track. You're putting the work in and you are making progress, and it will all be worth it. So if you've got any thoughts from your journaling that you'd like to share, I would love to hear them in the comments. What is and what isn't your priority on your big journey right now? And if you're not sure, ask us and see if we can help you out. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow.